You doing?
Good morning, Vickie. 2 days in a row. How did we strike it so lucky?
I don't know. But
But
hey,
it
I want
did.
to say
Fate.
welcome to the Success Secrets for Business, Family, and Life channel. This is the Coffee Break Show. I'm Vickie Helm. And this on Fridays, I'm always joined with Scott Stevens, and it's really going to be a fun day today. And this is brought to you by the Metadime Digital Network. Listen, if you're new here, this is the Coffee Break Show. We go live Monday through Friday. We talk about tips, tools, techniques, inspiration, motivation, what you need to learn in the news to give yourself thrivability, freedom, and security in your life. And today we are going to dive deeper down the rabbit hole. We're going to have a great time. I see you guys coming in. If you're new here, put your name down below so we can meet you. I just want to say good morning to everybody that's coming on, and look at this. Hey, Reese is on. Hi, you two. Good morning, Reese. Nice to see you, and thank you for the love and the heart there. Good morning. It's going to be a fabulous day. Yes, you are greater than 3. Thank you for that. That just makes me feel like we're double the fun or something like that. Donnie also says good morning. Thank you. So today we're going to go down the rabbit hole. And I want everybody in the world to stop for a minute and just give yourself a break. Just take a break right now for a second and let us just say hi to you. What if you've been lied to? What if you found out the country you were in was cheating on you? Like you're in a relationship with the country you're in. And what if you found out they were cheating with you? What if they were cheating with more than one person behind your back? What if you didn't know, or you were suspicious that you did know? You saw all the signs of them cheating, and you were like, okay, this just verifies the cheating. This just verifies that I know I've been cheating. And I want to say good morning to Marie Jo, one of my favorite people who come on the show. I like, Risa and everybody that comes on. Thank you for being here today. So you find out, here it is. Wow, so devastating. Yes, you find out the things that you love are lies. The things that were brought to you were untrue. And so now you're pretty much in the boat where you're feeling devastated, aren't you? And so now you have choices. You have choices. And these choices kind of make you either sink or swim. So you sink if you stay in that illusion with them and say, oh, but I love him so much, and I don't care if he cheats. And you let him cheat and cheat and cheat and cheat, or her cheat and cheat and cheat and cheat, without holding the consequences that their cheating could bring something to you that you'd have to go to the doctor for and get a shot that you don't want to get. And you could stay in that. You'd be sinking into it. Or you swim. And what do you do when you swim? You go into the unknown. You take control of your life. You say, I've had enough. Enough is enough is enough is enough. And then you make a different change. So let's take the word cheat out of the conversation and talk about pandemic and plandemic and put it into the conversation. Because, Scott, just answer me this. It's the same 2 choices. You're either going to sink or swim, aren't you?
You either swim away or you defend the action of.
That's right.
It's one or the other. You could stay neutral, but either way, it impacts you. You've been impacted, whether it's via employment, via the illness around you. We've all had to change our behaviors in one way or another because of this action. So that's the 3 choices that we have. And we're all kind of in there even today, even right now. Situations have changed that we've all had to adapt to because of this event.
Yes. And here's the thing. Yes, I've had it. I've had enough, and I'm not going to take it anymore. Great. Welcome to that. Now, in that thing that we look at, I want to talk about corruption, because it's been around a long time. And we've set a precedent of ignoring corruption. That's our state of it. Well, it's not really affecting me, therefore I won't. Until it does affect me, then I'll take a step. So what comes to me is in 1954 was the first time that people were starting to wonder if cigarettes caused cancer. Okay, so from 1954, they started the propaganda and media campaigns. That is the number one way that we start misleading people, is media campaigns and propaganda. And right now, that is at the forefront of our conversations, that media and propaganda. And we're so into the media and propaganda, we can't actually see or discern what kind of truth is out there. That's the first level of corruption.
Because it's usually the media via the propaganda where we accept the truths about the world that we live in. And that's why the media does the job it does and shovels the stories at us that it does. And it is to control that narrative. And when they're all using the same buzzwords on the same days, then you know that there is organization behind the different networks, that there is some puppet master up here pulling the strings, and then they get the call 4 a.m. or the memo or whatever it is, that then they all hit this 5 a.m., the 6 a.m., the 7 a.m., the 8 a.m., the evening news is with the same angle of view on the story. So
yes, and here's the thing. Lisa just came on and she made this incredible statement. Wow, I think it's been eye-opening how all the corruption we thought did not affect us is coming in to bite us now. Now, I want to talk about this because I want to go back. The pandemic right now is just the corruption of the day. I want to go back to just before the pandemic. What did we have? Didn't we just have an opiate
epidemic? Yes, absolutely.
Because they were being prescribed these things. There's no difference. It's like the only thing we think is if it goes ahead and it affects us, then we'll do something. And the issue with the doing something is what's really gotten us. We honestly have been, I don't know, in these propaganda-driven things, because then I want to go to diet pills. There was, I think it's called ephedra. Is that what it was? It was taken.
It was a speed.
Yeah, it was taken off the market.
I love taking them out of the fridge. They were like little chocolate goodies. I'm serious, Mom. Like, where's my pills? Sorry.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. Here we are again, and we keep spinning these things because there's something we don't want to accept as personal responsibility. And that is, there are no shortcuts. There's no shortcut to getting wealthy. There's no shortcut to getting healthy. There's no shortcut to, planning your life and getting it right. We want and can sell. We're sold shortcuts. The shortcut to being cool was having a cigarette hang out of your mouth and looking really, I don't know, James Dean or whatever it was, that they made cigarettes so cool that it was going to give you some sort of sex appeal because you did not want to work on your own sex appeal, I guess.
But it did, didn't it?
Yes, it worked.
It worked. So we've seen these amplification of events. From 9/11, there was absolutely an outcry. And as Vic and I were talking about before the show started, then it was the engineers that had to step up, the structural engineers, the mechanical engineers who had to, we all looked at the videos of this event and realized that this is not how a fire burns. This is not right. And so they were vilified. They lost their tenure. They lost their professorships for speaking out against the story we were told. And now we're seeing these doctors stepping up because there are solutions. And they're trying to help us through this in a way that they should. That's their job. That's their oath. And so the agenda, the cabal, has hijacked their profession for their agenda this time around.
Yeah. We take a look at these things right here, and we find that our future is going to be more full of them. And, of course, it was MJ who would come here and say this right here, because this is the truth. And we always have a choice to shut them down and do our own research. Yeah. So, and this is the key. So I want to talk about how this same stuff in politics happened. Okay, so what was the Omni budget deal? I think it was
the omnibus budget.
Yeah, wasn't that 2016 or something?
Well, we had one last year, and that was how they were able to roll in. It's basically it's all or nothing. We don't have amendments; it's just all or nothing, and that's how they were able to put in the money for the wall down there.
And that's right. And wasn't it like 1,600 pages?
At least. And of course, you've
And
got 48 hours to get through it all.
that's right, that 48-hour window.
Something like
So
that.
there are policies being pushed through, and it was the same with the Patriot Act. One of the filmmaker, Michael
Moore.
Yeah, thank you. His thing was nobody read it. Nobody read what was inside before they passed it. They made it seem like if they didn't pass it right then, economic collapse would have happened. And it still happened in spite of them not reading it. That omnibus, no, who's going to read? Who has 48 hours to read 1,600 pages? Even at hyper speed reading, I don't know that the fastest reader in the world couldn't have gotten through that in 2 days.
There should be like a 2-week mandatory that every bill, every piece of legislation that's going to require both houses and a presidential signature needs to be finished for 2 weeks so it can be properly, dissected and then properly debated. So we can have amendments or reject it. That should be law, and it's ridiculous that it isn't.
That's right.
It really, and then even with the Patriot Act, it was renewed. And then renewed. So this tells you that it wouldn't have mattered if they had the 2 weeks or not. It was going to pass.
So my point in telling you this is this pandemic thing isn't new. We've been through this over and over and over and over. The only difference is that it's made you uncomfortable enough because it's threatened your life or has the possibility of threatening your life that you may be willing to do something. Now, this is the key thing right here. I want to go back to what Marie Jo says. You always have the choice to shut them down or do your own research. And this is where people get lazy, or they get into a group of like-minded, but not really discerning, where we like the person who's given us the information so much that we believe them off the bat. I know I'm guilty of that. I have a few people in my life that I watch on TV that if they say it, I believe it right off the bat that it's true. And I would have never doubted them. And one of them was obviously Dr. Fauci. The guy is the head of the head of the head of the head. We have a tendency not to challenge our experts. We have a tendency to believe them up front, and we always think that they have our best interest at heart. That's the whole thing. And that's when we feel cheated. Yes, they should.
They should. And so we default to that position that they do have our best hearts, that they are being truthful, that the situation that they're paid to and have either failed upwards, because in government, if you fail miserably at something, you tend to fail upward. So they're given more responsibility because they handled the situation that was appropriate for the agenda at the time. But, for Fauci, he's always been stained because of how he treated the HIV issue back in the 80s. I've never been able to trust the man since then. And I was honestly surprised that he still had a position of government when COVID ended up on the scene. Surprised.
Well, what's interesting is that since we're all countries, I'm thinking that every country has their expert in there. They have their Dr. Fauci, and none of them are coming to agreement. But this is Lisa just said something that I want to respond to as well, because I think it's so important. She says, I get so sad when I look at what's going on right now. It seems like we're helpless to change it, even when we are aware. So what's going on right now isn't any different. It's been going on since 1954. We've had the ability to change it. We're just choosing not to change it. And sometimes we don't know how to change it. What's interesting is on yesterday's show, we brought up something Dr. Fauci said about, hydroxychloroquine.
HCQ
I'm getting
for you, Vickie.
HCQ. And what happens is he had already said the drug was fabulous. Now he's saying it's not fabulous. He's saying it was for coronas and SARS-like incidences. So yes, I know that science in real time changes as we learn more and we grow more and we get more. But this corruption is different. I'm not talking about science. I will give science as much room. It's like, when they say it took him, was it 1,000 tries to make the light bulb, whatever that is, however many tries a scientist needs or an inventor needs, given the space to do it, he fails forward. That's just how it is.
Yep.
But when it comes to manipulative data that they knew, so the opiate incident, they knew it was addictive. Everyone knew it was addictive. Ephedra, they knew it was speed. Cigarettes, they knew it caused cancer. This type of thing, 9/11, one building fell that wasn't even hit. There was 3 buildings. One fell that wasn't even hit.
And the BBC called it 20 minutes before it happened. Hey,
Exactly.
we have the schedule for this event.
I know. And I was watching it on the BBC when 9/11 happened. I was over there in London and they yelled down the hallway for me to come and watch. And so the thing is, these things that are pandemics, there have been plans for a long time. The question everybody is they start yelling this thing. They're like, wake up. Okay, wake up. What does that mean?
And then what do you anchor onto? You know, where's that truth?
Does it mean?
Yeah. Where's that truth then
Okay,
that you
so
go to?
So we're hashtag what? Woke. We're hashtag woke. Now what? Nobody ever does the now what piece of it.
Nope.
There is the what we do now what is very destructive. And we have people who are helping those peaceful protesters be seen as bad and wrong. They are people who are blowing up buildings and, you know, making their neighborhoods trashed. But the peaceful protesters aren't doing that. Something else is doing that.
Yeah, woke is only a permission to slip to be outrage. And then
So
how do you? Yeah.
Here's what I want to ask. Everybody has an idea or a thought of what the agenda is. They have an agenda. Who gives a crap? What's your agenda? Is your agenda to blame it on someone else, blame it on something else, and not be able to do exactly what this woman right here says? You always have the choice to shut them down or do your own research.
Yep.
And we are a blame society around the world right now. And right now we're just doing this. How do we get to the point where we are actually remaining and living and becoming the kind of person who builds their own life because they build their own life?
So the information we get about this tends to all be funneled through social media, because those are the town halls right now. Those are the town squares. We've got our town criers. We have the newspaper man. And this is, in a way, a strength and a weakness, because then you can have, like these frontline doctors, one video, 6 hours, 14 million views. That is way, way too powerful an impact that they cannot stop, because it's a personal testament. And that's, you know, all of religion is based on personal testament. And religion affects politics, which then affects what happens in the daily life. And they have to stop that. Otherwise, they will have completely lost control of the direction that they want to take this story.
Yeah. And here, this is another aspect of it, because when we start to do our own research, though I believe that in my heart, MJ, it's often tough to tease out the true from the false. And I want to let you know, I am a content creator, and I'm a big time I create content every single day. My opinions out there in the form of articles, blog posts, video, books, everything that content. So I know how fast this narrative can go. It's the teasing out of the true from the false, completely fake and misleading, because now that's the second step in this war, is that content is everywhere, and they're, yelling at Facebook, but it's in medium.com. It's any
everywhere.
of these pieces is everywhere. It's in newspapers, it's on blog posts, podcasts, everywhere.
And you can't read one story and then make up your mind. One story is one data point. And from the research, you begin to develop a larger viewpoint of what's happening on. And from there, you can step back from all of those stories, and not a single day, not even a single month or year, then you can begin to see it. And you, as an ex-cop, it all comes down to motive.
Yeah.
motive. If you can see, you can prove, you can demonstrate motive, then you begin to get clarity. And with clarity, then a course of action becomes clear. And that's what's kind of been missing, or people have been able to see.
I want to pop over here. Everybody's talking a lot. Let's go here. Swimming into the darkness.
Yeah.
It's always unnerving swimming in the sea, especially when it's deep and the unknown exists in the darkness. Throw us a lifesaver so we can pause to discern and see the truth, the light in the darkness. That is the thing that really is, so key for right now, finding that way to see in the darkness. It was an insurmountable read in the time provided. That's correct. It was absolutely too much to do. Here we go. I'm going to keep going down. You guys are just awesome. Exactly. We had to follow the money to see who really benefits, because it's not the general population. It's never the general population.
And billions for vaccine. Yeah, that's nice, but that's not enough of a motive. When you're costing trillions out of the economy and the amount of jobs lost, that's not enough of a motive. There's something else. There's something much, much larger than $1 billion here or $2 billion here or $3 billion. That's not enough. There's something else.
Yeah. And it will probably be in trillions, actually. No one should co-sign or adopt what they do not understand. That is the biggest thing right there. Life is not a dress rehearsal. You will not have another shot at it. Yes. This is key. And this is what happened with the subprime mortgage debacle. People signed all kinds of things that they did not understand. They listened to the guy there, trusted the guy, and the guy was selling them a hinky mortgage, a hinky contract. They knew they were going to lose the house. They had them buy well above their means. And this is not a dress rehearsal. You'll not have another shot at it. Some people lost everything. And this is the key. I like this.
And when prices are going up, you think you can sell it in a year before the ARM readjusts to the due rate. And then if you're buying at the top, you're kind of stuck with the contract you signed.
That's right. Yes, MJ, being empowered and able to discern is independent thinking. And this is where I'm kind of getting to today. I want to get back down here. Yes, MJ, that's the number one rule, whether signing to buy a house, a contract, or a bill, everything should be read and understood prior to signing it. Yes. Lisa, oh my God, but all the things I've been seeing about Fauci make my skin crawl. He's in on so many of the things going on right now and has been for decades. I was looking at the document, Global Health Security Global Action Plan, yesterday that talked about 2 planned pandemics, and it was written in 2005. And the due dates for all of this was 2019 and 20. His name and Gates Foundation is all over it. Yes, I've seen all of this data too. And I'm wondering where the end of the data is. I've gotten to the point where I'm looking at all data with crossed eyes. All data that comes in, all these articles, all this, even the point where some of the magazines or blogs or things like Newsweek and Time and Washington Post and Reuters and Bloomberg. And, I go out of the country, I read Al Jazeera and I read all of the BBC and I read the China News Daily, trying to get to the point where I see both sides of the story, because there's so much of this going on. This is what's creating division, confusion, and fear. Nobody can get a right answer. Nobody gets the right answer. And that is the joke of it all. That's how propaganda war, and this is a propaganda war, and your mind, your beliefs, and your attention, your focus is the prize they get.
Yep. That's just like me with all the climate information. You look at these relatively reputable sources like NASA, National Weather Service, National Climate Data Center, all the Scripps Institute for Oceanography. All of these people have a play in the data they present. And like statistics, you can skew it, and then you can draw and tell a story around it. And it becomes a long time. It's a long slog through data before you can eventually figure it out. And it's the same with these medical professionals. But they have patients that show up and they need care immediately. So they have to make a decision on the battlefield. And that's where, the personal testimony, like that frontline doctor we saw the other day, is very powerful. Very
Mm-hmm.
powerful. Lisa's in on it today, isn't she?
Yeah, she is. She's on top of it right there. Look at that. Right. The peaceful protesters are simply protesters. You're right. Point of view is the only thing we can change. And when you change it, it changes all. Take action from within. And this is where I want to go today. This is the actual, if we get all the way around the whole conversation, this is it right here. I love this. This is so true for me, Ma'am J. We are the blame society with a herd mentality. Yes, we no longer know how to think for ourselves. Hey, Anna, how you doing? Good morning and happy Friday to you. I'm glad you're joining us. Today's conversation, we are talking about the literal, what I call and Scott calls the silent war. The silent war has an agenda for your mind. The silent war is fought by propaganda. It's made to confuse you. And let me tell you something. I'm going to be really honest with you, and I need you to listen for this one moment. The second you choose a side, you become a prisoner of war. The second you choose a side, am I left or am I right, you have become a prisoner of war.
Because then you have to defend the position taken.
That's right.
Regardless,
you cannot have discernment.
And that's where we see it. Why the politics are so ugly now is because maybe years ago a person chose a side. And they've had to stay with that side even as the policies, politics, and subjects that are the agenda have evolved. So maybe if you were to have fresh eyes and come on the situation, you wouldn't be on the side you find yourself today.
Mm-hmm. It's the same when you imprison your mind where it's not allowed to think outside of the agenda that's in front of you. Your mind has become a prisoner of war in this propaganda, this silent war that's going on. And the silent war doesn't require you to have discernment. It doesn't want you to think for yourself. It doesn't want you to have reason or critical thinking. It wants you to follow like those sheeple Mary Jo was talking about. And so Marie Jo had just a statement up here. This is the other thing. This is how we get a blame society and a herd mentality. The second your mind chooses a side, you become a prisoner of war, and your mind has to then uphold the narrative that's given to you. That's when you start to blame. You have to blame the other side, or blame this, or blame that, or blame the other. And you get herd mentality because now we're all this group of people. Now we're all this group of people and all this group of people and et cetera. As soon as you're there, you can look at the truly successful. I mean, look at any truly successful person and ask her what side they are on.
And where was the responsibility once you start to blame? That's the thing. Is you're not accepting or taking responsibility for why you've chosen that side. It's easier to just point at other perceived wrongs. Mm-hmm. It's a scary place. It really, really is, because then there's no rationalizing, there's no reasoning, there's no discussion, because anger, fear, resentment, all of those lower emotions have then just taken over the person, and they've become a robot. And, those people we trust on the evening TV then can shout off in a different direction. And then the outrage mob is right there the next day. It's dangerous times. It really is dangerous times when we can't have intelligent, rational, sane discussions about these issues.
Yes.
It really is kind of scary.
So, Lisa, people think I'm weird because I'm not playing the blame game. That's right. You go, girlfriend. I simply do my research. People are so lazy and just believe what they are told and go with the crowd. A lot of people do. And I do not believe they're lazy. None of these people that are not doing their research and they're just believing what they're told, they're not lazy. They have really poor self-esteem. Mm-hmm. And their self-esteem feels better when they're with a group of people that validate them. And if I say to you, I believe like you do, then yes, you're part of the team and come on over. It is more a look at how bad the self-esteem is of people a long time ago. Vickie, I just started following you on Medium not long ago. Thank you. I will continue to write for Medium. Because that is one of the ways I get my message out other than doing what I'm doing here. And thank you for the follow, by the way. I appreciate that. And I write on Medium because that is the voice I use to put my evidence or my opinion on there. So I like this. Oh my God, that makes my hair stand up. It's so frustrating how to move forward. Scott, come back when you're done. There you go. Thank you, man.
Yep.
By the way, it was really cute that I just saw this newsman picture from years ago. I'm sorry, that was
that guy.
That guy right there. I'm the weatherman. See, life keeps happening. The world keeps spinning, and even the wildlife has come out of hiding. Maybe, just maybe, there's a higher purpose for this life, this lesson in life. I agree. In fact, Donnie, I think the whole purpose is for us to unhook from the war. The whole purpose of this conversation is that there's no way out except through it. You have to go through it and decide what you want. This whole thing about getting in touch with the insides of you instead of the outside of you. This is the moment in time for that. So true. Thank you. Yes, Lisa, most don't even know how to read the research and understand how to assess its veracity. That's true. And I think that it's so interesting that self-esteem feels better when it gets a false sense of self-esteem and a false sense of inclusion. Our world is suffering right now because of bad self-esteem. We're just going to keep doing this. I don't know. It's going to be a flash show. Wow. Yes, I was on the inside of the mortgage crisis and was let go of a major bank because I would not do the illegal thing they asked me to do. There's so much of that around. I will never work in banking again because I saw so much corruption. So did I. So did I. There's so many stories in there. As soon as I knew the bank was going to collapse and all banking was there, I was out of financial services quickly.
This is why I love blockchain.
Mm-hmm.
Just throwing it out there, just because
blockchain is going to cure a lot of this corruption.
It is, and it's going to take a lot of jobs. Jobs are just going to be gone out of that field.
That's right. All those title people gone. Those. So many attorneys gone. It's
and responsibility on both ends of the contract.
That's right.
And bringing responsibility to government, that just gets me all giddy.
Yeah. We are certainly in trying times, but we have the power to take control of our mind. This is the point. You see, that's what they know that we refuse to believe. We refuse to believe that we are the creators of our existence and that we have these human gifts, and working with the divine, working with them, not by yourself, but in co-creative processes with that. So you're always aligned with the divine in you, always aligned with the master within you, always. Then anything is possible to create or do. In fact, I think we are, and I'm assuming this is Anna because it's my red heart there. So Anna, I know that there are people who know they are here to help create this new world, this new society, this new thing. We're watching all of this other stuff just completely crumble. And over this next decade, it is going to crumble and be the beginning of the start of this rebuilding of this new society. Excuse me. And I think that we are certainly, one of the most important things you can do is not let your mind run amok.
And then just close Twitter, close Facebook, just swipe up, just shut the thing down. If you feel yourself going there, just close it, walk away. And that's really the only way that you can control it. We can control it, but do we? Do we?
Yeah.
And so often, you get into these discussions and you see everybody on the social media just associating themselves with people who think like themselves. And as soon as someone comes in that disagrees with them, you're blocked, you're banned, you're reported. Just close. Go outside. Just go pet the dog. Do something else.
So these clutches of people who gather in these, I'm a Democrat, I'm a Republican, I'm, a person who thinks whatever you think, or, wherever your group or country you're in, that like-minded people, it validates and strengthens them. But what it does is give somebody a false sense of reality and a false sense of self-esteem, a false sense. It's like, God, I finally graduated college. Now I'm somebody.
Now life
Or,
gets real.
yeah, now I'm somebody. I'm finally somebody because I wasn't somebody before this. I mean, that's the illusion they've given. That's that indoctrination. I'm an attorney. I'm finally somebody. Or look at the title I have at my work. I'm finally somebody like you weren't before. And that's the self-esteem
Yep.
thing.
Yep.
And all of propaganda knows how to work people. They know how to work people like, oh my gosh,
It's
there's
an
so
art.
many data brokers out there gathering data about what makes you tick, that they know how to rub you in the right way to get you to join their cause and to shout out how the other cause is not real or blah, blah, blah. That's the whole game right now.
Yep.
And if you want to own your life, you've got to own whether you think you're great or not. You have to own, you could say, wow, I have crappy self-esteem. Just admit that you have crappy self-esteem. And then all you have to do is figure out, how do I learn to love myself? That's just a process.
Yeah.
Or if you think you're nobody until somebody approves of you and validates you with a degree, a diploma, a title, whatever, a club member thing, if that's what you think, as I'm finally somebody because I am. Or, well, I started my own business. I'm finally somebody. You were somebody before because you wouldn't be able to start without that first ingredient, which is being somebody.
Yep.
And so that false self-esteem is that one single thing is why we have this propaganda war, and it's working.
Well,
It's
look what it's done to the country.
Yeah.
You know, it almost makes you want to live somewhere else during this right now.
Yes.
Almost.
Yes, me too.
Almost. You know,
it's funny because then you could stand back and look at it happen more. Because once you rise above it and you start seeing it that way, you'll see that it is actually something that is, you're looking at over a distance or a period. Come back, Scott, wherever you went. I know you're like, what is happening?
It was dropping during my weather show last night, so I don't know what it is. And we were having a talk back in March when this thing was going nuts.
Yeah.
And honestly, a fear that as this virus went through India, went through Africa, went through these other nations where there's high population densities, that it would be just utterly horrific. But it hasn't. It hasn't, because they have this ability, this very cheap drug to deploy. So it hasn't played out in a way. Yes, there are cases. Absolutely, there are cases, because everywhere this drug, this HCQ, is not over the counter. So, it's not as big and as bad and as scary, but it still has changed the world because the governments have changed their relationship with us. That's what has changed, not necessarily a health situation, because this is completely a manageable issue. All right, what did Donnie say?
I know, I had to see it. Money is temporary, life is temporary. We live in a temporal world. Ultimately, we are all judged by the lives we live, and even they have consequences. That's true. There is truth to say power corrupts, but it does not have to. Remember, we are all here for a reason, and lessons are to be learned for all of us. How do you choose to live your life right now? And that's what really matters. When we say, how do you choose to live your life? Part of the answer is saying, no to propaganda. I like this. Totally agree with Scott. We have choices. Shut it off. Shut it off.
Get your time
Except
back.
at 11 o'clock Mountain Standard Times, Monday through Friday, where you get to have a coffee break with your friends. So this is everything else. Shut it off.
Even we are working on other platforms through which we can share, because it's becoming apparent that the big boys are only allowing a certain brand color of topics through unimpeded, and those people are rewarded with financial gains. So those who do not, conform, are going to have to find other venues, and that's something that honestly we're always having to assess.
It's interesting too, because to your comment, one of the things that happens is when you have something on Facebook that they disagree with, they say, you had a post up that has been found to be harmful because of some untruth, etc. I want to know, how are they finding the exact truth? And if they know the exact truth, why are they, how what are the parameters to find the exact truth right now?
And it was just a like. That's all
Yeah.
it was. It was just a like. I was talking with Dawn about this yesterday or the day before. Facebook's area of expertise should be limited to technology, to IT. They have no programming language, but not into this field, because then they've had to give their ability to censor off to another quote unquote independent authority, which then they're reviewing. And of course, they're not truly independent, nor are they in a way an authority. They're just a quote Snopes, like, oh my God, Snopes, fact checker. So no, it's
even with the fact
police.
checker, how is the fact checker determining the truth? And here's what I want. The reason I'm saying this is because I think in order to be a fact checker, you have to collate a lot of data.
Mm-hmm.
So is it an algorithm that is doing that? So an algorithm is telling us what is true or not?
Yeah.
And if the algorithm is deciding what is true or not, what are the platforms they're using to decide what's true or not?
And then the WHO has had a less than stellar reputation through this. And that is the gold standard, according to these fact checkers, is the WHO, because, of course, Facebook being a multinational platform, they can't use just the U.S.'s body of evidence to fact check, say, an Israeli or a Ukrainian post. So they're having to use the WHO. And I'm so grateful that the president pulled out of that organization. Thank you. We could do that ourselves.
And that, I think, needs to be happening. We need to be doing, peer-reviewed research and things that are going to help us grow a little bit more in a more sane way. But the truth for going forward is that truth is being bent in such a way because it's been our fallback. It's been our fallback for blame. It's been our fallback so we don't have to really go in and find out what the truth is. We don't have to address our poor self-esteem if we jump up and down and there's a bunch of us going, we're right, you're wrong. And then there's a bunch, no, we're right, you're wrong. It's almost like two cheerleader sides. It's like you want to really develop self-esteem, and that means you have to step out and do it yourself. This is funny, and I think it's cute, and I want to talk about it right here. My business is social media, so I'm on there all the time, but I really am not in the feed or seeing what people post because I'm actually working. People don't really get that. They're actually working. Some people are working in that. Some people just believe what they read right off the bat when they read it. We default to truth even if the narrative is false. And that keeps us, stupid sometimes. Mm-hmm. Control the narrative. Those are the standards, my belief. Yes, that's the issue. Who's going to control the narrative? And the fight isn't for the truth right now. The fight is for the amount of likes that you get and people you get to join your side. They have to pull you there. It's not about here's the truth anymore. It's 100 people like my opinion. Well, 105 people like my opinion. Well, 500 people think my opinion is the truth. And so there's speculation and opinion, and there's no actual fact finding. So happy he pulled out of the WHO. I wish other countries would do that. Yep.
Do you remember the big battle over we have thumbs ups on Facebooks? You remember when they wanted to put a thumb down on a story?
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe it's a good thing they didn't.
The good old days, huh? We could do that back.
Yeah, back and forth, up and down votes, because it'd be like Twitter. They would end up massaging those numbers, so it looks like their side has more thumbs ups. It's a war. It's an information war. Alex Jones is right.
The war is over your mind. Uh-huh. And this is the most critical thing, because your mind is the thing that changes the world. You can't control the truth, but the truth can change you. Anna, thank you for that. This is the truth. When you get to the bottom of the truth, it will fundamentally change who you are. Donnie, you write such big posts. I'm going to put it up, but it's going to cover all of us up.
What you get, Creates celebration. It's all there, Vickie. It's all there.
Yeah. I was sitting on a rock on the edge of the garden watering. Of course, he's like, go water your garden. And that you have to understand, that's a profound statement. Go water your garden is essential to me because I see it as my own business. My own business is the seeds I water in my mind, in my life, in my career, in my company, in my garden, everything. I was sitting on the edge of the garden watering. The water was gentle, cascading through the beautiful evening sun. It was magnificent. The birds were singing, the bees were buzzing, and the breeze was blowing. The world may be in chaos, but you can still find the serenity and the beauty in your life because you're watering your garden, not listening to what everybody else's garden is watering about. That's the piece right here. Beauty is everywhere. When in chaos, you can find the beauty within. What you see is what you get. Celebrate simplicity. And the question you should ask yourself is, bam, what is it that you are seeing? Want to go here too. And Donald, it's all free. All of it is free. That's so interesting. Thank you. And looking at that, that's the whole point. Donnie's been telling everybody, just water your garden. Water your garden. Scott, somebody thought it was funny with the thumbs down. And you guys, I really appreciate your comments today. They are poignant in a time like this. This is yes, love that. Go water your garden. You'll find serenity there. And that garden is your garden. The problem is we keep trying to get other people to water our garden for us. And because of that, we get all that propaganda and confusion. I want to go back here. Perfect, MJ. Perfect. And it's all free.
Yeah. And the water bill's doable. So that's all good.
So I want to let you know, I think the most valuable thing you can do in this world is water your garden. But the first thing in order to get to water your garden is that you have to create your garden. You have to spend time thinking about what you want to have planted in your garden and what beds you want to have them. It's a lot of work. You got to put your beds up. You got to put the soil down. You got to go get your manure and put it all over the place. And you got to plant your seeds. And this is all you coming in and creating your self-sufficiency inside you, not just out in your house, but inside you.
And what is manure? Manure is someone else's waste. And in a way, Facebook is simply someone else's waste. It's what they have produced and is left out there. So the world right now is full of manure. And we could just use that as a launching pad into a better place. Mm-hmm. And what I dinged you was a picture of Donnie watering the garden.
Thank you. I'm going to keep that one. Your garden is your Garden of Eden. And it is within, but it can also be in your yard. And that's the whole thing. I think the most empowering thing I ever heard was from Benjamin Franklin. And he said, mind your own business. Now, when we get to the point that social media is so entertaining, and we're looking at all the flashes and the arguments and every night on the news, it's like COVID, patients dying hit another high today, and there are hot spots all over the world. You know what you need to do to keep yourself safe. Now, the world is transforming, and you're either going to sink or swim by what you're doing. And if you follow in the herd, you're going to sink. The herd does not have your best interest at heart. They have their best interest at heart, not yours. You have to step up and have your best interest at heart. And if you want to swim, you've got to start being and thinking for yourself. What will I need to carry me and mine forward?
Because ultimately, this is an individual journey. We don't go everywhere together. When you get off a ship, you get off one at a time. You may have had shipmates along the way, but once you get to destination, you're all by yourself.
Yeah.
That's just kind of the answer of it. So we have to think for ourselves. We have to make decisions for ourselves, and separate ourselves from the herd, because the herd is rarely right. They're rarely right.
And so what I know for me is, and what I think is going to be important, hang on, I got to do this because she's always so awesome. It's about knowing your why. Once you know yourself, you will make the relevant choices. And this is it. That self-esteem issue that keeps you swimming in all the agendas of the world, this is it. You have to know it's about knowing your why and knowing yourself and being proud of what you want. It's interesting. Lisa said earlier today that she was, getting some crap because she is also belonging to other groups that don't feel the same way. And she's like, yeah, but okay, this is me and this is what I know. This is my lane and I'm staying in it. And I always find right now when there's confusion like this, that the middle road is good for me. It's like put all of your thoughts of what you know in neutral and listen inward. What is it saying? What's best for you? How do you move forward with that? Those are all perfect things. I like this, sweep in the front of your own doors. Yeah,
That's a good
that's
one.
right.
That's
I
a good
know.
one.
That's Anna right there. Isn't
Yep.
it
Oh,
just,
you know it.
this is sweeping your own doors. This is like, water your own garden. This is a beautiful thing right here. Yeah. Sweep in front of your own doors. Mm, mm, mm. Love it. And Donnie's back, so I have to read what he says because it's here. Empowering yourself today, close your eyes and take a deep breath. Wait 3 seconds and relax. And you are there. That is the real you. And remind yourself in a moment of stress, you can always close your eyes and give yourself a moment to remind yourself you're in control. That you're here, you're present. The middle of the road is always the best path. Yes. And I want to say this. The reason I think the middle road is absolutely important is I live rurally. I live way up in the mountains, way, way, way. I think we're at 8,100 feet. I'm in Colorado, and so there's a lot of wildlife. There's bunnies and squirrels and, deer and elk and moose
Hippies.
and hippies. And so when you're driving in the middle of the night and nobody's on the road but you, because that's the only traffic when you're driving at night, I drive in the center of the 2 lanes. Why? Because it gives me maximum braking power from the deer coming from the left or the deer coming from the right. So in the middle of that lane, I give myself enough braking power or maybe that extra boost to get past it so that I'm not hitting an animal. And obviously, when they see headlights at night, you know how they like to run across the road.
And what happens if you get too far to one side or the other? You end up with those grooves that they cut out to remind you you're too far to one side or the other. Life gets rough, life gets noisy, life gets unsettling, and it's by design. Dang it. See, look at that. Yeah, to get you off the side. All right.
So, yes,
Sweep
I
in front
love
of your own
going
door.
inwards. I love it. Sweep in front of your own door.
That's it.
Yes, I love going inward also. I find many answers there. That's the only place right now you can find answers. This has been a great conversation. And I will tell you, we do these, and every time you all participate, you are helping the world in ways that you don't even know. You're sharing your inspiration, your motivation, and I don't know who needs to hear this. I don't know who's going to calm down when they hear this. I don't know who it's going to help. I just know that everybody putting their 2 cents in while we have this conversation every day helps the world in some small way and create some equanimity in somebody's soul.
And sometimes we need it just for ourselves, just to remind ourselves, what's going on and its relevance. It seems like it's big and important, and maybe it is. Maybe it is, but it doesn't have to be right now, right today. So it's not quite warm enough to go water the garden, but it sure is green.
Yeah, it's going to be beautiful today. Remember, it's about sweeping in front of your own door. It's about watering your own garden. Water your own garden. Make sure you plant your own garden. That's Friday's chat with us. Thank you for being on the Coffee Break Show. Scott, do you have anything you want to say before you go?
No, I just have a great weekend. Have a great weekend because we'll be here on Monday.
That's right. So what happens is we also have other shows. Don't forget Scott's on at 5 o'clock today with the weather because he's the weather man. And there's also another perspective. If you guys have not seen Another Perspective, you have to let yourself see that show. What is it? 6 p.m.
6 p.m. Mountain, Monday,
What-
Wednesday.
Monday and Wednesday. Those shows are so powerful, so incredibly powerful. We want to let you know we love you too, Anna. You are just something special. And I can feel that without even having, met you. So I want to say, Unlocked with Tracy Wilson, definitely give that a shot as well. You guys, it's going to be Monday soon, and it's going to be a rocking show, and we're going to have a great time. Scott, thanks as always for being my Friday
thing.
pal.
I'll be dressed for you Monday.
Talk to you guys
All right,
later.
see ya.
Bye-bye. Okay, here we go. It's time to have